what you're doing out there for everybody else as well.
Listen, you know what? I'm so glad we can just start out on why we're both here. 39 and a half years ago, I go on the air because I'm interested in current affairs, and I'm not interested in column A and column B. I believe there's got to be a better way to do things, and every major issue on the news today needs innovation. You're bringing it in a very special way with this website. How did you conceive of xstreaminglive.com? That's xtreaminglive.com. How did it come about?
Well, I've been in the political business for about 10 years. I own a 12,000-line phone system. We do telephone town halls, robocalls, and telephone polling. And like you, I'm always trying to find a way to be innovative and find new ways to get out there. Unfortunately, in the telecom business, it's really kind of like just reinventing the same mousetrap that's been around for 15 years. And I actually had the idea for live streaming for political stuff a few years ago, but unfortunately, the technology for consumers wasn't there for what the technology was offering.
Well, that's the first thing. That's the first thing I really want to hammer home to people. This is something that's developed because of the moment of technology that we are in. This was not possible years ago. What is the magic of that connection between ordinary folks online and this opportunity at xstreaminglive.com? What happens when they make that connection?
Well, I mean, the first thing that, again, what we're going to try to do is not a repackaging. We're not going to go in and edit all of our content and try to make it whatever. We are going to deliver everything we do live, always. Every program we have, the whole deal is it's going to be live. Now, that's going to lend for some interesting opportunities as well. There's going to be snafus. It's just the way it is. But the consumer out there is now literally poised to burst the technology bubble. You take TVs, for instance. To get on the internet on TV, if you have an Xbox or a PlayStation, there's all kinds of opportunities. Netflix has broken the barrier for internet TV. Well, the new realm of TVs that are coming are Wi-Fi ready. So we're going to be there before 90% of the consumers even have all that technology ready. And, of course, the cell phones, they're just getting better and better. That's just the way it is.
Now, you're right about one thing right at the outset. This is, for me personally, and I think society at large, this is just an exciting technology to begin with. We actually broadcast live on Ustream wirelessly. Our camera goes directly to the web without a wire. What is the significance of a virtual campaign school? What is the significance of bringing people together from all different walks of life now with an easy, common connection? Can you explain the magnitude of that a little bit? xstreaminglive.com. It's full, high-definition live streaming all the time. All programming is high definition and live streaming. How does that inure to the consumer? Tell me the consumer's advantage in this experience.
Well, the first thing from a campaign school perspective, I don't want to say it's limited to who can use it and who can use that technology out there. There are literally probably 30 to 40 different schools out there. There's actually even a couple of companies that actually go from major city to major city and put on a school. But you're still looking at a pretty sizable financial investment. One of the best ones in the country is a school in D.C. that puts on once a year. It's $500 for the school. You pay for your own flights. You pay for your hotel and your food. So you're out $1,000 and 3 days of your time. With what and of course it's still only available for kind of a select few. And something you said earlier in mentioning us is, how does the guy in, excuse me for saying this, in Podunk
You got
get
it.
that
Small town.
opportunity?
How does he break through? This is the gateway.
Exactly.
I believe it. You know what? This is why I'm telling you, decades and decades of people saying, I really can't do anything. And they were right in a way, but they never really were right. This door was always there to be pressed on. Technology is how you did it at xstreaminglive.com. ExtremingLive.com. Our guest is the CEO and founder of ExtremingLive.com. Our guest is J.P. Van Dyke on the Ed Tyll Show. For years we have supported entrepreneurs from every area of society. Rarely is there one that intertwines with current events. There's been a lag, hasn't there? In the public arena, there's been a little lag on technology. It's all been Twitter this and Facebook that, and this is really a brand new application of an exciting technology.
Well, right now, there is and hasn't been yet a virtual campaign school opportunity. And, we're going to be hosting, the one we have August 2nd is what we call an overview style. It's a nonpartisan, it's 7 speakers talking for about 40 minutes and then taking live questions from the viewing audience. But next year, we're going to have 4 schools. We're going to have an overview school, a conservative curriculum school, a liberal school. But then the highlight of what I want to do, Ed, is we're going to have a high school edition. And this is open to every high school kid in the country. It's completely free. I'm not going to allow sponsors in this. I'm not going to take advertising money. I hope I lose money for what it cost me to put it on. Because, Ed, I believe this, and I believe this with everything in my heart, that right now there's a little girl in a classroom in Nashville, Tennessee, who one day can represent Tennessee in the 3rd Congressional District.
There you go.
There's a boy in Dallas, Texas, who can represent Texas as being a United States Senator for his state. And there is a boy or a girl in a classroom in the 4th row of student government in Mount Vernon High School, where I went to high school, who very possibly could be the President of the United States.
There you go.
And what we're missing in this country is the engagement of our kids into the level of understanding what's next. These are the leaders of our country. And to allow them to have the opportunity to maybe bring this country back to the shining democracy that it used to be, I think is what I was chosen to do with this. Everything else is going to be great, but we're going to put on programs like this for kids. We're going to have national mock elections for kids. And it's going to be exciting. I'm really excited.
So the
about
campaign school, the whole idea of involvement in civic events and as a gateway to ordinary folks that, when you say that everywhere, I hear you, from the smallest town to even immersed in the big city, somewhere in Brooklyn, somewhere down in Rosita, somewhere out in the valley. Never before would anybody believe at the dinner table this was possible. What was the moment for you? Were you having a tech discussion when this occurred to you, or were you having a kind of a political discussion in your head and the light goes off? I think people are fascinated about the genesis moment of all of this. And again, let me get them directed to follow along. ExtremingLive.com, ExtremingLive.com. CEO, creator, and founder J.P. Van Dyke is with us. How does this come to you? You're in a civics discussion, a political discussion on the technology bolt of lightning, or what?
Well, it's pretty funny. I was talking to a gentleman, Shane Jett, who's running for Congress in Oklahoma. I believe it's the 3rd District. And Shane and I were talking about strategies earlier last year for his campaign. And I'd always wanted to do a campaign school, but, it just having 50 people come into a room just didn't seem like the opportunity. And again, we started talking about technology, and literally we hung up the phone, and I go, oh my gosh, I got it. And I called my partner, Tyler Reynolds, and we started talking, and in 15 minutes, we had a business plan, and we had a model and it just took off from there. We've got a national water skiing tournament company that wants us to come in and do their stuff. We're going to have original content shows. I tell you, the bigger one than the campaign school is the political town halls.
I was reading about this earlier. Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to say, immediately you see the reach of that kind of thing. It used to be just a network could do that, right? They would go to a town, they would bring in the NBC camera, and everybody would think, wow, this is so revolutionary. But it was really just an extension of the same limited participation that there ever was. This is where a town hall can come from the bottom up, where folks can actually generate it out of their own enthusiasm and their own passion, which, if I might add, JP, it's not really on the subject, but you bring a great deal of passion to this. That's also an essential element that you're tapping into. Folks all over the country, as you described before, literally all over the world, take a lesson from this because they also have that passion. Speak to that a little bit.
Well, the one thing that we talk about in national politics, and I've been involved with 60 congressional races, 20 Senate races, 5 or 6 governor races just in the last 8 years. And what's really missing when we sit down and talk politics, we get friends and we sit down and, we'll grab a drink and sit and hash out what's going across the country. What's missing is the guy who, like you said earlier, who wants to change things, but he doesn't have a clue. He doesn't have the money. He doesn't have any of the opportunities that the big guns have. Well, one of the things I think we deliver with our political town hall is for a very modest amount of money, he can reach whoever he wants. Because, again, we're talking about technology. If you've got a mobile phone, you can watch him talk and understand what he believes in. But then there's also the reactionary aspect. The Supreme Court just made some landmark rulings, and you, as a congressman in my district, could be on within 15 minutes telling the people in your district exactly what it means to them. Not some talking head,
That's right.
Not some group of people at a table trying to disseminate what they think you believe, you getting re-engagement back with the constituents. And that's what I think is really the biggest miss in modern politics today is the citizens engaging with the elected officials.
Full, high definition, and always live. Now, that's a big accomplishment. How do I need to know anything about the what if I want to do something? Do I need to know how to operate high definition stuff? How does that work? What should people know who are dying to try this, and it sounds great, but they really are not techies?
Well, one of the things that and you talked about Ustream, and there's Livestream, and there's other companies that you can tap into to use the resources. There's other companies that will bring crews and camera crews and charge ridiculous amounts of money to set up a production and whatnot. You literally need to have 2 things for me. You need to have you there, and you need to have a dedicated internet connection. I'm going to do the rest. I'm going to bring the crew, the lighting, the cameras, the sound equipment, the backdrops, everything, and we're going to give you what you need. And we've got the features we have within the system. We have on-screen voting. We have live Twitter and Facebook feed. Your event could go viral if you've got enough friends watching.
See, this is amazing. This used to be
right.
This used to be only capable of like a major network on TV. I remember when they first started running the tweets and the stuff under the show and all. So this is now in the hands of individuals thanks to this remarkable breakthrough. Xstreaminglive.com. Our guest is CEO JP Van Dyke, talking about how it works. Also, may I just get you to elaborate and make sure I got this right? Any mobile device will be able to follow what you generate in terms of an event. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've got an API software program that basically does, and I don't want to get too technical, but it buffers through whatever device is logged into our site. So when you're going to go to our site, give you an example. Ed Till would have a channel that we'll dedicate to him, and it's his site. And when anybody logs into that site, whatever device they're using, our system automatically detects and buffers based on the best routing that device can handle. If it's a computer, full 1080p, the highest HD quality available.
That's extraordinary.
Which most TVs don't even have available.
That's what I mean. I mean, that really is. That's an extraordinary tool in the hands of the public, and how you get this in your hands is Xstreaminglive.com, Xstreaminglive.com. Entrepreneur, creator, visionary, comes from the world of politics. Our guest is JP Van Dyke. We're talking about this remarkable technology and what power it places in the hands of individuals for the very first time. Will you now put it in context? It's a campaign school, but it's a whole lot more when you get to the website. Explain the breadth of the choices, of the opportunities here. Open it up for people who are listening right now so they can see how many things can happen here, how you can visualize it, imagine it, and bring it into being at extreminglive.com.
Well, we're going to try to create almost a niche programming for everybody. If you've got enough people that want to watch croquet, we'll find a way to broadcast it. But we've got music festival programs that we're going to stream, and those can be pay-per-view if people want to. We've got business expos